So what do you do with an old stump in your yard? Well, we had a pine tree sitting there and the wind took it out. We didn't know what to do with it. We didn't want to grind it out. We thought we'd make something out of it. So we took a piece of 2-inch white oak that we found down in the woods down here, and we put it in the sawmill. And we sawed a bunch of nice lumber out of it. Well, this particular piece was an off-fall of a slab. And then we took it and we just kind of cut the corners off randomly. We drilled countersink holes. We countersink screws. We put little wooden plugs in it. We took a router and we beveled the edges all the way around, made it nice and smooth, sanded it down. Now we're getting ready to stain it. And when we get all done, it's going to be handy. It's going to be a workbench. It's going to be something you can set your radio on. It's going to be, you could have a couple of brewskis sitting out here. We could have whatever you want to put on it, but we made the stump out of something useful, which I think is a great plan. We took a chainsaw and we sawed the bottom of the stump off nice and level. Actually, there's two stumps. There's a little one and then a big one. We sawed them both off and we put a level on it to make sure it was level. Took the chainsaw and laid it on the edge. We had to trim just a little bit to get it perfect. And then we just kind of trimmed it up, cut the corners off, and really it's turned into be something pretty nice. We're going to take and we get all done, we stain it. We're going to put some clear coat epoxy on it and on the sides, so that it's easy to clean when it sits outside. You know how it gets that film of stuff on it, but once you get that epoxy on there, it's really easy to clean. The other thing I'm going to show you the workbench that camera's sitting on right now. I made it the same day I made this, and I call it my whale bench. We found a couple of brackets at a yard sale my brother did, and he brought them up. He said, "What do you think about these?" I said, "I'll make you a bench out of it." So I'll show you this, and then I'm going to show you that bench. So if you look down here, you'll see that the little stump, there's 5 countersunk holes with 5 wooden plugs, and then the big stump's the same way. I got 5 plugs. I took and I just kind of randomly beveled the corners off, and you know, it's just going to be nice. What else are you going to do with a stump? So I think it's going to be pretty handy setting radio on or whatever you want to do with it. I think it'd be pretty handy for that. So here's my other bench. I call it my whale bench. It's made out of white oak and I stained it already. And this was the slab right off the bark. So this first one was the bark slab came off. This was the second slab that came off. And I had it laying down here. It's not good enough to make furniture out of, but it sure is good enough to make a workbench out of. So the reason I call it a whale bench, if you look, you'll see here's his mouth, here's his eye, and here's the hump in his back. Imagination will take you anywhere you want to go, won't it? But we'll get that thing all epoxied up. And I think that'll make a pretty nice bench. You're going to have to set it on some concrete because it's heavy enough. I think it's going to sink in the dirt if you don't, but I think it's going to make a pretty nice bench. So anyhow, if you got a stump in your yard, that's a pretty good idea, I think, as to what to do with it. I want to show you this whale bench since we now have 3 coats of polyurethane on it. Not polyurethane, 3 coats of epoxy, tabletop epoxy. You can see how nice of a job that epoxy does. It's really pretty. I like it, and it's nice and smooth to sit on too. Our whale bench. Our other little bench, it's in the shade over there, but it turned out real nice too. Stained and put 3 coats of tabletop epoxy on it too. So white oak, really pretty when you get all done with it. Got a lot of character to it. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.